Hi there, my name is Chris Cameron, and I am the host of the Underdog Podcast. Today's subject is going to be about Jack White and his new album, Boarding House Reach, and also the fact, too, that today he's announced a North American / kind of worldwide tour. So we'll be talking a little bit about that, too. But let's get started. If you're a fan like me, as I am of Jack White, you know how kind of crazy and unique and different of an artist he is. I'm personally excited about the tour that's coming up. I've seen him live before in 2014. I saw him play in San Francisco, and it was probably the craziest rock show I've ever been to. But that being said, I'm excited too about his new record. I've heard two songs from it, Connected by Love and Respect Commander, both of which are completely different from each other, I think, as far as like style goes, but they're both unique and both kind of stick towards like Jack White style, which is, I don't know how to describe it other than it's like blues, punk, and experimental. That's the easiest way I could categorize them, I guess, if you could say. But I'm very excited to hear what comes out of that new record. I'm interested to hear what kind of songs he has to do. Every record he's done on his solo projects, at least, has been something different. The first album was a little bit more aggressive. The second album, you had some softer songs, but they were a little bit more complex as far as lyrics go and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see what his new album's going to be like. I'm also interested to hear what the topic of the album is. I guess that's if that's what it is. Last album was based on Lazaretto. I think that's about a island or an abandoned island where they like put like patients or people who were getting sick or something like that. They left them to die during the plague, which is a really, really kind of dark and random subject to do an album on. But nonetheless, he's that kind of intriguing and interesting kind of artist to do something weird like that. Not necessarily weird, but do something per se that's not normal to talk about on a record or to tell a story with. So I'm interested to see what Boarding House Reach is about. I've tried to do some research online what that actually means, what those words actually mean, and I haven't found anything yet, so I'm curious to see what those songs about or how they connect with the album and the theme of the album. That being said, too, I'm also very excited about his live performance too. I'm ecstatic. I've been looking online right now for tickets and stuff like that. You can't purchase them just yet, but you're soon to be able to be purchased on Ticketmaster. The reason why I'm so excited about his live performance versus just his record is that when he performs his stuff live, it's a whole hell of a lot different than what he actually does on the actual album. First of all, most artists I've seen live before, most of them are pretty good, but they all play kind of the same static stuff that you've heard on the record. So it sounds like, the record you just bought, you could have just played it in the radio and that's it. With him, it's completely different. I know he doesn't play with set lists. I know he plays just random songs. I know he kind of feels out the crowd too. I've seen him twice, both on the same tour, once in San Francisco and once in Las Vegas. The one time I saw him in San Francisco, he played more aggressively, I guess you could say. He played more energetically because the crowd was more energetic. And then I saw him in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas was a little bit more down key. It was in a smaller venue, and there was less people there, so he played more acoustic stuff. But I love that because you're seeing two completely different shows, and when you buy tickets for shows, you can see you have the potential of seeing something different than the next crowd's going to see. So I'm curious. I'm anticipating waiting for his live tour. That's going to be exciting. That's going to be fun to watch. And I'll do another podcast probably after the show and describe to you what I saw there. But for right now, building up anticipation for it, I would suggest buying tickets for it. If you're a fan of like blues music, punk rock music, experimental stuff, this is definitely the guy you want to go see live. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of his, and I'm not expressing it just as a fan, just as a music fan in general. I'm curious to see it because it's one of the best. When I saw him in San Francisco and in Las Vegas too, but more so San Francisco, that was probably the best rock show I've ever been to. Period. And I've seen people like the Rolling Stones, Run the Jewels. I've been to Vans Warped Tour multiple times. I've seen a lot of different bands and a lot of different stuff before. And by far, his show takes the cake as far as like best performance I've ever seen live. And it's just because he kind of keys in on his fan base. He makes his songs and his shows all for the fans. It's not necessarily something for him or to appease him. It's just all about the fans when he does a live performance. So, like I said, I'm very excited to see him live. I'm very excited for the new album that's coming out. I can't wait to hear it. I will probably do another review or another podcast about that as well too. If you're a listener of this podcast, this is a very new podcast. It's a very new thing I'm doing right now. Each week I'm trying to bring up different subjects and topics to talk about. The very first week I talked about football. This week I've talked about music. If you want to hear me talk about anything, whether it's sports, politics, news, science, entertainment, history, something different, let me know. Comment on the podcast where I post it on Spotify, on SoundCloud, on YouTube, wherever I post it. Just leave a comment there. Let me know a topic of discussion. If I think it's interesting, I'll probably do it. I'm looking for different topics of discussion to talk about. Anyways, thank you for listening. I'm Chris Cameron. I'm your host of the Underdog Podcast. Have a good day.